What happens when a soft-spoken, usually reserved actor walks onto a live daytime talk show and finds himself repeatedly interrupted, boxed into a narrative he didn't agree to, and pushed to speak on something he's carefully avoided for years? Make sure to subscribe to the Star Talks, and like and comment for more talk show coverage. Whoopi leans forward slightly as the applause fades, smiling the way she does when she's setting the tone for something she thinks will be light but interesting. All right, we're back, and we're here with Timothée Chalamet. New film is out this weekend. People are already buzzing, and it's great to have you back at the table. Timothy nods, polite, hands folded loosely in front of him. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Joy jumps in quickly, barely giving the moment space to breathe. Now this film, Timothy, it's very intense, very emotional, and people online are already saying this is the most you performance you've ever given. Timothy smiles a little tight. I think every role takes something different out of you. I wouldn't. Sonny cuts in. But it is about identity, right? About expectations, masculinity, fame. Those are things people project onto you constantly. He shifts slightly in his chair. Sure, but I don't know that the film is. Joy waves her hand dismissively, not unkindly, but assertive. Well, come on, you're one of the most talked about young men in Hollywood. You're fashion forward, you don't fit the traditional mold. That has to affect how you choose roles. There's a small murmur from the audience, that low, ooh sound that signals interest. Timothy glances briefly toward Whoopi, then back to Joy. I choose roles based on the script and the director. That's really it. Whoopi chuckles softly. That's the safest answer you can give on television. Laughter ripples across the studio. Timothy smiles politely again, but it doesn't quite reach his eyes. Joy leans in. But you understand why people are curious. You've become a symbol for a lot of young men who feel like they don't fit into what society tells them they should be. Timothy inhales, measured. I understand curiosity. I don't necessarily agree with being called a symbol. I'm an actor. I play characters. Sonny nods, but presses. But when you stay silent on certain issues, people interpret that silence too. That lands heavier. The audience quiets a bit. Timothy blinks, processing. I don't think silence always means what people want it to mean. Joy tilts her head. But don't you think there's a responsibility when you have a platform like yours? Timothy's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. Responsibility to what exactly? Joy doesn't hesitate. To speak up. To be clear. Especially when fans look to you for guidance. A pause stretches just long enough to feel slightly uncomfortable. Whoopi senses it and tries to soften the moment. I think what Joy's saying is. Timothy gently interrupts, still calm. No, I understand what she's saying. The audience leans in collectively. You can feel it shift. He continues. I just don't agree that being visible means you owe people your inner life, or your politics, or your personal beliefs. Sonny raises an eyebrow. But you benefit from that visibility. He nods. Absolutely. And I'm grateful for it. But gratitude doesn't equal obligation to perform authenticity on demand. There's scattered applause from a section of the audience, quickly hushed by others who seem unsure. Joy laughs lightly, but there's an edge. Well, this is a talk show. We ask questions. And I'm answering them, Timothy replies, still controlled. Joy presses again. You're answering around them. A ripple of tension moves through the table. Whoopi looks between them. All right, let's take a breath. Timothy exhales, then speaks before she can redirect. I'm not trying to be difficult. I just think there's a difference between discussing work and being cornered into representing something I never volunteered for. The word cornered hangs in the air. The audience reacts audibly now, a mix of gasps and murmurs. Joy's smile fades slightly. Cornered is a strong word. It's an honest one, he says. Sonny leans forward. Are you saying we're being unfair? Timothy looks at her, then at Joy, then back to Whoopi. I'm saying the conversation keeps moving away from the film and toward who you think I should be. Whoopi raises her hands a little. Okay. That's fair to say. Joy shakes her head. But this is part of the job, Timothy. You don't get to pick and choose which parts of fame you engage with. He sits up straighter now. I actually do. The audience reacts sharply, louder this time. Someone claps, someone else gasps. Joy's tone hardens. No, you don't. Not when you're benefiting from it. Timothy's expression changes. The polite veneer cracks just a bit. That's where we disagree. Sonny jumps in. So you're saying you don't owe your fans anything beyond a performance? I owe them honesty in my work, he replies. Not a version of myself that fits a headline. Joy scoffs lightly. But headlines come with the territory. So does burnout, Timothy says quicker now. So does anxiety. So does being misunderstood. The studio goes quiet. Even the cameras seem to hold still. Whoopi clears her throat. All right, we're gonna. Joy interrupts her this time. But Timothy, when young people see you dodging these questions, they feel dismissed. His eyes flash. I'm not dodging. I'm setting boundaries. That's the moment the audience truly reacts. A loud mix of applause and shock. A few people stand briefly, then sit back down. Joy crosses her arms slightly. Boundaries on a public platform are tricky. So is disrespect, he says, the snap unmistakable now. An audible, oh, echoes through the crowd. Whoopi's eyes widen. Okay. Timothy continues, voice firm but not raised. I came here to talk about my work. I respect this table. But I won't be talked over or told what I owe people. Joy opens her mouth, then closes it, clearly taken aback. Sunny looks between them, trying to mediate. No one is trying to disrespect you. It doesn't always feel that way from this side, he replies. Another wave of murmurs rolls through the audience. The tension is thick, unresolved, and very real as the cameras stay live and the hosts visibly reassess how far this conversation has gone. Whoopi takes a breath, hands still raised slightly, the way she does when she's trying to keep the room from tipping over. All right, we're going to slow this down for a second, because this is live television, and I don't think anyone here is trying to disrespect anyone. The audience settles a little, but the energy doesn't drop. It hums. Timothy leans back in his chair, jaw tight, eyes focused straight ahead instead of on Joy. You can tell he's trying to regain composure, not retreat, just steady himself. Joy breaks the silence first. No one is talking over you on purpose. But when you come on a show like this, you have to expect pushback. Timothy nods once. Pushback is fine. Being framed is different. Sunny tilts her head. Framed how? He looks at her now. As someone who's avoiding responsibility. Or as someone who owes explanations for not performing the version of myself people are comfortable with. A few audience members clap quietly, tentative but supportive. Joy exhales sharply. But you see how that comes across, right? Especially to people who don't have the luxury of staying quiet. That word luxury hits. Timothy leans forward again. Silence isn't a luxury when it's self-protection. The audience murmurs, louder this time. Someone in the front row nods vigorously. Whoopi interjects quickly. Okay. I want to ask this in a different way. She turns to Timothy. Do you feel like the expectations put on you right now are heavier than what actors had before? He considers it. I think the expectations are louder. Faster. There's no space to process before you're told what your silence means. Joy jumps back in. But that's the world now. Everyone deals with that. Timothy's voice tightens. Not everyone has millions of strangers deciding what their values are in real time. Sunny raises a finger. But that influence is real, Timothy. Whether you want it or not. He nods. I know. And that's exactly why I'm careful. Joy shakes her head. Careful or evasive? That does it. The shift is visible. Timothy doesn't raise his voice, but there's a firmness now that wasn't there before. I don't think it's fair to call someone evasive because they won't perform vulnerability on cue. The audience reacts immediately, applause sharper this time, mixed with a few gasps. Joy opens her mouth, but Timothy continues, momentum building. There's this idea now that if you don't say everything, you're hiding something. That if you don't comment, you're complicit. That's not healthy. Sunny looks thoughtful. But public silence has consequences. So does public pressure, he responds. We talk a lot about mental health until someone actually tries to protect theirs. A beat. That lands. Even Joy pauses. Whoopi nods slowly. That's a real point. Joy, visibly irritated now, crosses her legs and leans back. I just think it's convenient when celebrities decide when the conversation matters. Timothy turns fully toward her. I think it's convenient when we demand access to people and call it accountability. The audience reacts loudly, a mix of applause and shocked laughter. Whoopi's eyes widen again. All right. Sunny tries to soften it. Joy, I think what he's saying is. Joy cuts her off. No, I hear exactly what he's saying. Timothy doesn't break eye contact. Good. The room goes quiet again, that dangerous kind of quiet where everyone knows something just shifted. Joy's voice lowers. Then let me ask you this. Do you think audiences are wrong for wanting more from the people they admire? Timothy takes a breath. No, but wanting more doesn't mean you're entitled to it. The audience erupts, applause, whistles, a few people standing briefly before sitting again. Whoopi lets it play out for a moment, then speaks over the noise. Okay, we're going to bring it down. Joy looks genuinely stunned now. So you're saying fans should just accept whatever you give them? I'm saying they should accept that I'm human, he replies. Not a spokesperson. Not a moral compass. An actor. Sunny nods slowly. But you've spoken out before. So people notice when you don't. And I will again, Timothée says. When it feels honest. Not when it feels forced. Joy scoffs. Honest to who? To me, he snaps back. There's an audible gasp from the audience. Someone says wow out loud. Whoopi leans forward, voice firmer now. Okay, we're not going to do this as a shouting match. Timothée looks at her, softer for a moment. I'm not shouting. Joy fires back. You're lecturing. He shakes his head. I'm defending myself. Sunny glances at the camera, then back to the table. This is clearly hitting a nerve. Timothée exhales. Because it keeps happening. Not just here. Everywhere. Interviews stop being conversations and start being tests. Joy's eyebrows shoot up. Tests? Yes, he says. Say the right thing, get praise. Say the wrong thing, get dragged. Say nothing, get dragged anyway. The audience murmurs in agreement. Whoopi sighs. That part is true. Joy presses again, voice sharper. But you still show up. You still promote. You still benefit. Timothy's patience thins. Showing up doesn't mean surrendering. Sunny interjects. But there's a balance. I'm still looking for it, he says honestly. Another beat of silence. The tension hasn't exploded yet, but it's stretching thin, like a wire pulled too tight. Joy leans forward again, eyes locked on him. You know, a lot of people watching right now would kill for this platform. Timothée nods. I know, and I don't take that lightly. Then act like it, Joy says. That's the line. Timothy's composure finally cracks just enough for everyone to see it. His voice is still controlled, but there's no mistaking the snap underneath. Don't tell me how to act. The audience erupts, loud, chaotic, split down the middle. Applause clashes with shocked reactions. Whoopi immediately steps in. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Timothée shakes his head slightly. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being honest. Joy throws her hands up. Well, honesty cuts both ways. Whoopi gestures toward the camera. We'll be right back. The music starts to swell faintly, but the cameras are still catching the body language. Timothée sitting rigid, Joy shaking her head, Sunny whispering something to Whoopi as the audience buzzes with disbelief, knowing full well that whatever comes next, this interview has already gone somewhere no one expected. The music fades back down quicker than usual, like the control room knows there's no easing back into this. Applause comes in uneven waves, louder in some sections, hesitant in others. Timothée is still sitting upright, hands clasped tightly now. Joy adjusts in her seat, lips pressed thin. Sunny looks composed but alert. Whoopi exhales before speaking, the kind of breath that says she knows she's about to walk a tightrope. All right, Whoopi says, voice steady but firm. We're back, and I want to reset just a little bit. The audience quiets, though a few murmurs linger. Whoopi continues. This table is about conversation. Sometimes that gets heated. But nobody here is trying to tell anyone who they are. Joy lets out a small, skeptical laugh. I'm not trying to tell him who he is. I'm responding to what he's saying. Timothée looks at her calmly now, the sharpness dialed back, but still present. And I'm responding to how it feels to be on the receiving end of that. Sunny nods. I think both things can be true. Joy turns to Sunny. But you can't deny that he's pushing back on the premise of the show. Timothée answers before Sunny can. I'm pushing back on being boxed in, not on conversation. Whoopi gestures gently with her hand. Okay, so let's talk about the box. What does that feel like to you specifically? There's a pause. Timothée considers whether to go there. The audience is silent now, hanging on it. It feels like no matter what I do, he says slowly, there's already a story written. And the questions are designed to get me to confirm or deny it. Joy raises her eyebrows. That's interviews. Not always, he replies. Sometimes interviews are curious. Sometimes they're accusatory. A few people clap. It's brief but noticeable. Joy crosses her arms again. Accusatory is a strong word. So is evasive, he counters, not missing a beat. The audience reacts instantly, louder than before. Whoopi gives a half smile that's half nerves, half acknowledgement. Okay, fair. Sunny leans forward. Timothée, can I ask something honestly? Of course. Do you think part of this reaction is because you're not used to being challenged like this? The question hangs. It's pointed but calm. He nods slowly. I'm used to being challenged about my work. I'm not used to being challenged about my worth as a person. Joy jumps in. No one questioned your worth. Intent doesn't erase impact, he says. That draws a stronger audience response. Someone says that's true out loud. Joy shakes her head. But impact goes both ways. When you say things like, don't tell me how to act, that sounds dismissive. Timothy looks at her, steady. I said that because it felt like you were speaking down to me. There's a sharp intake of breath from the audience. Whoopi immediately interjects. Okay, let's acknowledge that feelings are hurt here. That's clear. Joy looks genuinely irritated now. I'm not hurt. I'm frustrated. Timothy nods. So am I. Sunny tries to bridge it. Maybe the frustration is coming from two different expectations of what this conversation should be. Joy responds quickly. My expectation is accountability. Timothy responds just as fast. Mine is respect. The audience reaction is immediate and loud. Applause that rolls across the studio in a wave. Whoopi lets it happen, then speaks over it. All right. Joy leans forward again, voice sharpened by emotion. Respect also means answering hard questions. I am answering, Timothy says. Just not the way you want. Joy scoffs. That's convenient. Timothy exhales, visibly restraining himself. Why is it always framed as convenience when someone chooses restraint? Sunny looks thoughtful. Because restraint can look like avoidance to people on the outside. And projection can look like insight, he replies. Another collective, oh, from the crowd. Whoopi presses her lips together, trying not to smile. Y'all are good with words today. Joy doesn't laugh. This isn't a word game. Timothy looks tired now, not angry, tired. It feels like one. Joy's tone sharpens again. Then why come on? That question hits hard. The audience reacts loudly, a mix of shock and anticipation. Timothy sits back, then leans forward again, choosing his words carefully. Because I believe in dialogue, even when it's uncomfortable. Joy throws her hands up slightly. But you only like the dialogue when you control it. That's not true, he says firmly. I just don't accept being talked down to. Sunny looks at Joy. I think that's the sticking point. Joy turns to Sunny. I'm not talking down to him. Timothy meets her gaze. That's how it felt. The room goes quiet again. The kind of quiet that's heavy, not awkward. Whoopi speaks softly now. Sometimes we don't hear how we sound until someone says it out loud. Joy's jaw tightens. So now I'm the villain. No, Timothy says quickly. I never said that. But you implied it, Joy fires back. He shakes his head. I implied that I felt disrespected. That's about me, not you. The audience murmurs, split again. Sunny steps in. This is a generational clash too, isn't it? Joy snaps her head toward Sunny. What does that mean? Sunny remains calm. It means younger public figures are pushing back on old expectations. Joy responds immediately. Respect isn't an old expectation. And silence isn't disrespect, Timothy says. Applause breaks out again, louder now, more unified. Whoopi raises her hands. Okay. Let's ground this. Joy looks at Timothy, eyes narrowed. So what do you want from interviews? He doesn't hesitate. Curiosity without assumptions. Questions without verdicts. Joy shakes her head slowly. That's unrealistic. Then so is expecting people to bear themselves on command, he replies. Another audible gasp. Someone in the audience laughs nervously. Whoopi chuckles despite herself. Phew. Joy's voice lowers, more controlled but sharper. You're very confident for someone who claims to feel boxed in. Timothy's eyes flash again. Confidence doesn't mean comfort. Sunny nods. That's important. Joy points slightly with her hand. But confidence lets you push back without snapping. Timothy's voice tightens. I snapped because I felt pushed. The audience reacts, some applause, some murmurs of disagreement. Whoopi steps in firmly now. All right, we're not going to keep circling the same moment. She turns to Timothy. Do you regret how you responded earlier? He thinks. I regret that it escalated. I don't regret standing up for myself. Joy lets out a short laugh. There it is. Sunny looks between them. Joy, do you regret anything? Joy pauses. That alone draws attention. I regret that this turned into a confrontation. Timothy nods. Me too. The audience softens slightly, the volume dropping. Whoopi seizes the moment. Okay, that's something. Joy adds quickly. But I don't regret asking the questions. I wouldn't want you to, Timothy says. I just want space to answer them honestly. Joy sighs. Honesty looks different to different people. And that's okay, he says. Another beat. The tension hasn't disappeared, but it's shifted. Less explosive. More brittle. Whoopi looks to the camera briefly, then back to the table. We've got a few minutes left. The audience murmurs again, sensing there's more coming. Joy leans back, arms uncrossing slightly. You know, people are going to have opinions about this. Timothy gives a small, resigned smile. They already do. Sunny smiles faintly. They definitely will after today. The audience laughs, but it's uneasy. Whoopi nods. And that's where we're going to leave it for now. Timothy looks relieved but still tense. Joy looks contemplative, lips pressed together. The cameras stay on just long enough to capture the unresolved energy. Not a blow-up, not a resolution, but something raw and very real. The kind of moment that people will rewind, clip, and argue about long after the show ends. The applause comes in softer this time, more scattered, like the audience isn't quite sure how to release what they just watched. Whoopi nods along with it, then leans forward, grounding herself on the table. All right, she says measured. We're almost out of time. Joy shifts in her chair, adjusting her jacket, her expression still tight but less combative. Sunny sits with her hands folded, eyes moving between Timothy and Joy, clearly aware the moment is still fragile. Timothy exhales slowly, the kind of breath you take when adrenaline starts to fade and reality sets back in. Whoopi turns to him. I do want to say this before we wrap. I appreciate you staying in the conversation. Timothy nods. I appreciate you saying that. Joy looks at him, hesitates for a half second, then speaks. And for what it's worth, I don't think you're wrong to want boundaries. The audience reacts immediately, a low, surprised murmur. Timothy looks at her genuinely. Thank you. And I don't think you're wrong to ask hard questions. Joy gives a small, reluctant nod. All right. Sunny smiles faintly. See? Growth. That earns a brief, nervous laugh from the crowd. Whoopi chuckles. Don't get carried away. The tension loosens just a notch. Not gone, but less sharp. Whoopi continues. This is what live television is, folks. Real conversations, real feelings. Joy adds, and sometimes discomfort. Timothy nods. Especially discomfort. The audience claps again, this time more unified. Whoopi turns back to Timothy. Before you go, anything you want people to take away from this? He thinks for a moment. That disagreement doesn't mean disrespect. And that setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't care. The audience applauds louder now. Joy looks out toward the crowd. And I'll say this, conversations like this are messy, but they're necessary. Sunny nods. People watching are probably already debating this at home. Whoopi smiles knowingly. Oh, they definitely are. She looks directly into the camera. Timothée Chalamet, everyone. The applause swells as Timothy gives a small wave, standing briefly before sitting back down as the show transitions. But the cameras catch everything in those last few seconds. Joy leaning towards Sunny, whispering something. Sunny nodding thoughtfully. Timothy rubbing his hands together, jaw still tense. Whoopi taking another deep breath as the music plays. The show cuts to commercial, but the moment doesn't end there. Within minutes, clips start popping up online. Short videos titled Timothy Pushes Back, Joy Behar and Timothy Clash, awkward moment on live TV. Social media splits instantly. Some viewers praise him for finally saying what actors are afraid to say. Others accuse him of being defensive, ungrateful, too sensitive. Comment sections explode with debates about boundaries, platforms, and respect. Hashtags trend. Reaction videos flood timelines. Body language experts weigh in. Fans dissect every pause, every look, every word. Joy addresses it briefly later that day on her own platform, saying, "Live TV isn't scripted. Sometimes conversations get uncomfortable. That doesn't mean they shouldn't happen." Timothy, for his part, doesn't post immediately. No statement. No clarification. Just silence. The same silence people were arguing about hours earlier. By the next morning, headlines soften. A raw moment. A necessary conversation. A reminder that talk shows are still live. Behind the scenes, producers confirm nothing was planned. No setup. No agenda. Just a conversation that went where conversations sometimes go. And viewers are left where live television always leaves them, with opinions, reactions, and the feeling that they witnessed something unscripted and real. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Was Timothy right to snap back, or did he take it too far? Share your opinion in the comments. and subscribe to the Star Talks for more real talk show stories.